You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are
Lootcrate.
Family. How's every single one of you? And Jean-Paul and I just 3 minutes after All Out was done, and see, we watched. We didn't have to pay the $50. We don't have to do that, so it was actually overall, I will say pretty good overall, because the main event for me actually was not such a great match. I saw a lot of blood, which it was good, because I need a little bit of juice, a lot of scary spots, a lot of botches. So that's why we have Jean-Paul, because he's the main analyst on that. He takes care of he notices all those things, but not a clean show when it comes to wrestling skill, I will say.
I mean, there's a big botch that we'll touch on later.
Yeah, we'll touch on later, but scary moments with Matt Hardy. We want to say before we start the whole thing, that was real. That was legit. That's not storyline, and actually he was taken to a hospital. We'll say hospital because if we will be reviewing WWE, we have to say medical facility. But so other than that, family, we're really excited to talk about this, and thank you so very much for watching every single one of our videos. The content, Jean-Paul, with the Legend Killer, we had a great video on SmackDown right there, right, Jean-Paul? Sasha Banks pretty much done. Finally happened. Bayley shows her true colors. Jean-Paul was excited about this. He's been taunting this for the longest time, and finally it happened, right, Jean-Paul?
Exactly. SmackDown overall wasn't a good show, but this was definitely one of the best, moments from it. So
exactly. And then Jean-Paul also WWE coverage. We have the NXT Super Tuesdays. Jean-Paul and myself talking about 60-minute Iron Man match with the 4 best guys in the NXT locker room, and great stuff. But in the end, kind of they prolonged it one more week just because they have another week that they go on Tuesday. So for that reason, they're gonna have the guys on our left, Finn Balor and Adam Cole going for the title. So don't forget to check those videos out. Help us out to keep growing, family. So Jean-Paul, let's go to the buy-in. The buy-in was an hour long. I don't know why they need this, kind of 7 o'clock, and matches that really didn't. It's kind of like watching AEW Dark for me. It's I don't know these guys. I don't really care for them. The first match was actually Serpentico, and he goes with Luther. Serpentico or Serpentico, I think. Serpentico. No,
the way that they were saying it was Serpentico.
Yeah, Serpentico. So we're okay on that. With Luther, we know Luther because thanks to Jean-Paul, Luther is best friends with Jericho. So that's the only reason. Hey, you know what? Can you hook me up? Can you hook my guy up? Just put him in. Put him on the fry station. He can just scoop fries, mozzarella sticks. He's fine. And he went against Joey Janela. And the match, whatever. I don't really think that it was something out of the world, but at least Janela got a win, right, Jean-Paul?
Yeah, I mean Joey Janela got a win. I think he called out Lance Archer at the end of the thing because they're kind of having a feud. Sonny Kiss and all them. They're all just kind of in this feud. It's okay. I mean, at least it's they're doing something with him, but it's that's the guy you're gonna do something with. There's worse people on the roster, but there's definitely a lot better people on the roster. So. And what you said, these 2 matches, and then the other one, even though it featured Private Party, which is a team I do like, both these matches didn't need to happen. You could have had the Tooth and Nail match and the Young Bucks tag team match that they said were going to be on the buy-in. These are the ones that should have been on the buy-in. And
absolutely.
And the buy-in also should have started at 6 o'clock, the main show at 7, not buy-in at 7, main show at 8. That's the only complaint I have about the pay-per-view.
Because Jean-Paul, happy Sunday, because actually 12:03 a.m., as we recording, so happy Sunday. So, we actually, it went really long, 4 hours. I mean, kind of if we have learned something from WWE, it's don't make the pay-per-views too long, because by the main event, everybody's just done. Everybody's just out. So, like you said, Private Party actually had a match. This one actually was pretty decent because, like you said, Private Party is an upper-comer team. They're pretty good, and they went against the 3 and 4, right, from the Dark Order, and that's Silvers and Reynolds. So this match, like I said, good, but Private Party got to win. They need to push these guys because after the tag team tournament, they have not done absolutely anything.
No, and they keep talking about that. They say, they upset the Young Bucks. I feel in 6 months from now, you can't keep saying that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That can't be the only thing that they hang their hat on. Can't be like, oh, we beat the Young Bucks. It's like, at this point, who cares anymore? Like, you got to do something else. You got to, like, hey, did you beat, I don't, like, the Dark Order? Okay, yeah, you beat the Jobbers, but did you beat the legit guys? Did you beat, did you beat the tag champs in a non-title match?
Yes,
that's the stuff that actually matters.
Like you said, for example, beat like, hey, beat Kenny and Hangman now. That there's not beat like the Lucha Bros. Beat like Butcher and Blade. Beat like somebody that is actually a good team. But like, yep, that was what they gave us. It was a good showing again for Private Party. And now that like Matt Hardy seems to be done, hopefully they can get another mentor because that situation is still sketchy. But see, Jean Paul, that was pretty much just the buy-in. And like you said, like maybe move this to 6 o'clock because see, like everybody's eating dinner. Yeah, let's watch a little bit of wrestling. Okay, good job. Prime Rib, RV. So like try it on. Like, there's a little plug for it. There you go. Now they're gonna ban us from doing that from a third party like WWE. But Jean Paul, the show actually started with like the buy-in, what they promote as the buy-in, and that's the Britt Baker and Big Swole, the nail match. And see, this actually was not even contested in the ring. It was actually in Dr. Britt Baker's office. See, we went to the dentist's office, Jean Paul, right?
Yeah, this is in the dentist. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, well, yeah, it was just like that. And did you like this, or like we were waiting for?
No, I was happy this wasn't too long. This is when my my video was cutting in and out, so I didn't actually get to see the whole beginning of it. So I mean, I was fine with that because as soon as I saw that this was cinematic, I didn't care. Big Swole's a good wrestler. So is Britt Baker. Why take away the thing that they're both good at, wrestling? You do cinematic matches for people like Dana Brooke who are bullshit who can't wrestle. You have this match and it's like, okay. And especially when Baker took like a picture frame and hit it over her head and literally went this slow. Like, literally, like, how is that supposed to hurt anybody? So I was completely taken out of the match.
Was that the stream? Because he was cutting off.
No. That was actually her. Yeah. That was
because my stream was actually cutting off, too. Like,
maybe it was just trying to save us from watching this. This wasn't good, and especially the winner, because I always say you can do babyface versus babyface, but to me it's such a bullshit match. You can't really get behind anybody, because then at that point it's just a popularity contest. Who do you like more? Because Big Swole won this thing.
Yes. And
it's like, okay, and there was and it was really stupid because Baker hit herself in the leg with a syringe, so her leg went numb, so she was like, I'm done. And then I don't even remember how Big Swole, put her out, but she was pretty much just done. And then the ref was like, he called it off. And within 2 seconds later, Britt Baker got back up and was screaming, pissed that she lost. I'm like, how are you supposedly done? But then 2 seconds later, you're like, oh, I'm pissed off that I lost. I'm like, so you mustn't have been that done.
I agree with you. I feel that that the one thing I did like was when Big Swole had something with Rebel or Reba, whatever. She had also a picture frame or something, and then she goes look at this, and then she goes boom with
and punch right through it. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was Big Swole. This was Britt Baker who a turtle. So it's Big Swole actually was good.
Yeah, you saw intensity in her, but like you said, Britt Baker. The only thing I did like was again the super kick. At least she does that good. But like you said, if you put them in a really narrow place, it's really difficult for them to move, to have any kind of wrestling in there. So that's the one thing I didn't like either. And she got the drill at some point, and she was trying, I think, that to get her with the drill, and then she got the drill inside the chair where they were sitting.
It's in the dentist chair.
Yeah, so I really didn't like this too much. Like you said, I was hoping for a match actually, and especially now that you give me Big Swole. Maybe if it is a big break for Big Swole, it's good. But like you said, I don't think that she's gonna be challenging Hikaru Shida right away. But or maybe I think they're gonna prolong the feud because that's what I think they're gonna do. Because I think the main blow up for a lot of them, rivalries, I think is gonna be Full Gear. Because now we know we're gonna have a second year for Full Gear, so that's gonna be cool, Jean Paul. Because you and me are gonna be doing the review we're gonna be reviewing kind of seeing how we did in Full Gear year 1 and now for Full Gear year 2. So it's gonna be interesting. But see, this was the beginning of All Out. Do I think that it was good? We'll see what they do with Big Swole, though. That's the main question, right? If they give him more
and Britt Baker, because to me she was the best, heel for the women. Because Nyla Rose, it was look at me, Vicky Guerrero, and then done. And then
where are they now? Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Jean Paul. So now they go with let's go with Young Bucks and the Jurassic Express. So this was actually a good match. I feel that like they did pretty well, and we knew that we were gonna do this because see, Jungle Boy is pretty good. He adapts up to the style of the Young Bucks, right, Jean Paul? And like, see, the Young Bucks actually they show a little bit more like anger or like more violent. They were more like pissed off. You could see that they were actually not too much baby face anymore. They were like you said, oh, like, hey guys, we're friends. Hi. No, it was actually more intense. They wanted like they kicked Marco Stunt. They were acting some kind of heelish.
Anytime somebody kicks Marco Stunt, to me that's babyface. So
well, well, that's the truth. But like you could see the Young Bucks are pissed off. You could see.
Oh no, they're definitely the dissension's coming. With what happened later on in the show, which we'll touch on then. But in this beforehand, they had all the promos. They're talking about Hangman. They're like, oh, he's gonna get what he deserves. So it's like, a babyface isn't really gonna say that about another supposed babyface. So you feel the heel tendencies, and like you said, that was evident in this match. It was more aggressive, especially Matt Jackson. He's the one who doesn't sell anything. I'm the powerhouse. I'm 5'6", 170 pounds, soaking wet. But I don't sell any move ever. And they dominated. Like you said, they looked like just pissed off. And you're like, what's going on? Because even like they at the end of this thing, it was like 2 super kicks. Then another super kicks, then the knee, and it was like they finally put Jungle Boy down. But, they're kind of just looking around. They weren't like, oh, let's do the pose. Like, we feel good. We got a huge win. It was kind of just like...
Exactly.
So...
Like, let's get with it. Yeah, let's finish it. And see, that I didn't like too much, Jean Paul, because, for example, see, like, Luchasaurus dove on, like, a lot of wrestlers right there, and, like, he just was done. But then the Young Bucks hit, like, 3, like, big moves on, like, Jungle Boy, and he kicked out of the 2 of them. And then, of course, after that, the 3rd one, it was already done. But see, it's like, really? It's like, can they have like a little bit of offense? Like in the Jurassic Express can have some offense after that? Like that I didn't like too much because it seemed to me like one-sided. And I was like, because like at some point the Jurassic Express almost wins when they did like that combination that is like a cutter and like...
Oh, that was so... Okay, I know it's like, okay, it's a spot, I forget who it was, which one of the Jackson brothers broke it up. But Luchasaurus, like, dude, what, you're 6, whatever, big as hell. He stands there like a fucking moron. And then the other Jackson brother jumps in and he's like, duh. Yeah. He, like, tried to stop him, but somehow that Jackson overpowered Luchasaurus. And I'm like, okay.
That's exactly, Jean Paul. See, that's the stuff that I always look at you because you picked up on those things. That's why you always, like, pretty attention to detail, and I can tell that. So
at least it wasn't the other way around and the Jackson brother held back Luchasaurus, because then I would be like, this place makes 0 sense.
But you're right though. Like, for example, like, okay, like we hit a big move. Can I make sure that we win with that move? And
that's why I think, unfortunately, the future for this team, because they didn't like capitalize on them when they were hot, is the future of this team is just Jungle Boy. They're going to split this team up eventually. You're going to have Marco Stunt and Luchasaurus just kind of be like mid-card, like lower mid-card job team, and they're just a gimmick, dinosaurs and a midget, and then that's pretty much it. And then Jungle Boy is going to be on a singles run because that's the main star here.
I can see that. You're right, and mainly because it's also like a AEW own. So it can be that's our main guy. We breed him. He like pretty much grew with us. Pretty much we like made him this guy. So like I agree with you. See, Luchasaurus, like you said, ever since he says "Hi, Mom" and all of that, and like when he's supposed to act like legit or like he's supposed to win the matches, have that mentality. Like you said, he just stands there. It's like, make me believe that you at least want to win and you want to win the match.
Yeah.
Instead of just be like, we're not supposed to win, so I'm not supposed to help out. So yeah, that was like not too good, but like match wise, I think it was pretty decent. So now let's go to like Jean Paul Casino Battle Royale. Winner gets an AEW World Championship match. This, in your opinion, I want to hear you, and then I'll give my opinions on this.
You mean just overall and the winner
overall,
and everything?
Yeah, overall,
The winner, I actually don't mind. I was going with Darby Allin, but like I said, Darby Allin would have only made sense if there was a heel champion, which, again, I keep bringing up, things later on in the show, but we'll get to that. Yeah, so Darby Allin didn't win this thing. It was a legit spot with him. I know some people hate, the blood and the guts and the gimmicks and all that, but where they put the thumbtacks in the body bag, hit Darby Allin in there, and chucked him over the top. So that's how Darby Allin was done. So that was legit. But then, there was another spot where, we had the last guy come in, because it was this whole tournament was just, you don't have a singles feud and you're a tag team that's not, the Young Bucks or in the title picture. Hey, you're in the match. You had the Best Friends. You had the Butcher and the Blade, obviously the Lucha Bros. Look up the list. We're not naming them all unless, they were somebody who was making their debut, who drew the Joker. And let me just say, I don't know if you want to call him a joker, but he sure is a fucking clown. Let's see it.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's true. Like, this is what happens with the newest debut of like an AEW Battle.
We'll take every chance known to man and animal. Oh, Seidel slipping off the top rope.
That was pretty much me. I was, hey, welcome to the big leagues, Matt Seidel. Everybody just paid $52 besides the rope break to see you, pretty much just make a shooting star press botch, first move right off the bat. So good for you. And Matt Seidel, I didn't pop for that. I definitely popped when he fucked up. Yeah, he does that to Sean Speedo, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm legit, and then done.
And then done. Yeah,
the battle royal for me, nothing really popped in it. The Lucha Bros look like shit, so that I'm like, okay, really?
Jean Paul is a big fan of the Lucha Bros, and that's something like we've been saying, like the Lucha Bros deserve so much better here. So yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and the final four, who was it? It was Seidel, Archer, Eddie, Kofi Kingston, and the Butcher.
And the Butcher, it was the final. And see, like that, I didn't like. I did like Chaz being on commentary. But see, I did like that. But like, I didn't really appreciate everything that you're saying. Like, for example, like the final four, absolutely trash.
Hey, the final four, honestly, it should have been Lance Archer. Seidel could have been number 5, even after the botch. If you want Seidel to look decent, he should have been number 5 out of here. Should have been Darby Allin, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Lance Archer.
Yeah.
That should have been. That should have been the final four. Boom, boom, boom. You can get Ricky Starks and Darby Allin. Have it be like the Royal Rumble '94. Both of them go over at the top. Then it's just the two big guys, Cage and Archer. Boom, boom, boom. Blackout or whatever his move is. Throw Cage over the top, and then Lance Archer wins it.
Yes, because I don't see the point of like Kofi Kingston or Eddie Kingston being in the final four. I don't see the Butcher.
And what was the spot at the end where you have Jake with clearly not a snake in the bag, and he's swinging the bag up at Eddie Kingston on the freaking he's like on the ropes at the post in the corner, and then the Butcher's coming over.
And the Butcher's trying to hang on.
But instead of the Butcher's a big dude, instead of knocking him over, he's like pulling him like, Mom, like I threw up, I can't go to school today. It's just like, dude, just pull him off the apron and win. Or Eddie Kingston.
That I didn't like that. See, like there was a little bit, for example, I didn't like the interactions between Brian Cage and Lance Archer. See, that was good when they went at each other. Even I think Brian Cage he did like a hurricanrana, like that was good. But like you said, keep it like that, because the ending is like you got guys that are completely done. So Eddie Kingston, we know he's not going to win.
Yeah, and those spots like that, I did pop. I'm like, not pop a good like a mark, but I'm like, oh, that was cool, that was legit. And then when he gets eliminated, it's like, oh, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it is true. It's like, okay, why? And then, like you said, there was clearly not a snake. So, like, oh, and I mean, like I said, I did enjoy Taz being in commentary because, like, come on, Ricky. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I did hear interviews that Jake the Snake actually hates snakes. He's like, he doesn't like using them, but the gimmick was over. So he was just like, hey, it makes me money, so let me do it. But, like, give him a real snake and have him, have a real snake up at fucking Eddie Kingston. Do you know how much more legit that would have been?
Yeah,
because he said Kingston said, "I fear no man," but he did admit, not on TV. I don't know where, but he's like, "Oh, I don't fear no man, but I don't like snakes." Like, he thinks snakes are gross and everything, and they scare him. So that would have been a perfect thing, to have a snake, because for some reason they're kind of pushing Eddie Kingston out of all the guys they have. It is
true. But like, it's really bad to see the Lucha Bros dropped out. It's really bad to see like Butcher and Blade dropped out. A lot of guys like Sonny Kiss was even Sonny Kiss eliminated Jake Hager. So
And who was the because Jake Hager's the one. I lie. I think I said Brian Cage with Joey Janela called out because when he got attacked by the Inner Circle. So I think we're gonna see a feud with Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, and Jake Hager. So I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that.
That was one of the enhancement talents that actually had interactions with Brian Cage and turned out like helping out for the elimination because he and like Brian Cage got eliminated by Lars Archer because he did like a double dropkick.
Yeah, so, I don't know who that guy was. He looked he looked like Keith Lee on steroids.
Yes, yeah, he looked like a modified version of Willie Mack. Like if you merge Keith Lee and Willie Mack, that's how the guy looked. Yeah, but it was like at least the winner makes sense. Lars Archer gets finally the win, and like Jean Paul and I've been saying, and even I want to shout out Glenn Davidson because like he was able to also like be with us for like the predictions. He also said, "Hey, Lars Archer needs to get a new resurgence. He needs to be back at where he was. He needs to maybe become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion." So we're happy about that. At least he needed it, right, Jean Paul? He needed it because like
this is the one. I'm not going to be like again. I'm not going to be a mark. I'm taking AEW day by day. This was great for Lance Archer. If he loses to Moxley, then done. But if this is the step in the right direction, hey, let's build this guy up. He has Jake the Snake. Maybe even Wardlow and MJF can get involved. Not saying they team up with Lance Archer, but hey, we want to get revenge because, there it is. Spoiler alert, John Moxley retained tonight. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you do something with that. But if they just have it where Lance Archer, DDT and done, then what's the point?
Absolutely. And that's what I feel that like they need to like do something with Lars Archer. He gets the championship opportunity. We'll see when this happens. Probably Full Gear. Probably spoiler alert, like example. Spoiler alert is going to be on Full Gear. But now let's go to a match that actually turned out to be scary. We didn't really understand what was happening. It was like really, really scary. I don't know if I want to ask Jean Paul, like, did they handle the situation well? And this was like Matt Hardy with Sammy Guevara, the Broken Rules match, and it was supposed to be broken rules. It just mean that it was like street fight. It was like no holds barred. So this is what it happened, but like the match actually was pretty quick. Matt Hardy started out with like his persona of just being normal Matt Hardy, looking for Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara was actually driving a car, and he almost like crashed with the car. Like even like I think Giovanni on commentary. By the way, Jean Paul, Excalibur was back for All Out, and I think it did help. The whole experience because
Excalibur was he was also there on Dynamite. I think we mentioned the review. If not, hey, he was there for last Dynamite. But yeah, Excalibur, we talk shit on him sometimes. We're like, let's like every dive is a tope suicida, like all this other shit. But he at least has energy. When like sometimes like Shivani is like a little bit like so.
Oh yeah.
And like Jim Ross, when Jim Ross is like so, it's like funny because he's like low key shitting on the product that he's calling, so that's kind of funny. Yes. And then other times Jim Ross is really into it. Like I felt tonight, at least the first half of the show, and then in the main event, he was like really into it. But it was a long show, so it kind of drags. But Excalibur always has that energy. So
and same thing that you like what you just said. What you just said in the beginning of the video is pretty much, hey, it's way too long. Cut it a little bit. Give me a few less.
The crowd was even out of it.
Well, yeah, because like you said, it's like 3 hours. It's like 4 hours. It's like, come on. It's like, can I live? Can I just like get a little bit of rest? But see, let's go to the scary spot, Jean Paul, because they had like a dive, like they did a DDT, I think it was, right, Jean Paul, like on top.
Yeah, I forget if it was a DDT or a power bomb or something, but
I think it was like, a DDT. Let's go right here with the rope breaker. Boom, right there. See,
because none of it, like Matt Hardy's. Pretty much his head missed the whole thing, and it looked like it bounced right off the floor, and it was like is he done?
Yeah, well, like if you see this Jean Paul right here, right, and when I'm pointing out that Matt Hardy and everything, you could clearly say that what you just mentioned right here. His back hits the table, but the head is gonna hit the concrete right here. Mm-hmm. So like he completely missed it, and that was a pretty scary spot for everybody. I think that like at the beginning, of course, in professional wrestling, you just like is legit or his storyline, but he looked really dazed out. He looked completely out of it, so I wouldn't be surprised if like he gets like concussion from it. Like he looked completely out of it, and although he wanted to continue, but he looked completely out of it. Look at him. Mm-hmm. He tried, and they pretty much stopped the match. Audrey made the signal, hey, it's done. And they tried to keep going at it, but then I don't know if maybe AEW handles the situation well. They should have been like, okay, let's move to something else since we have like 3 more hours. But like they can actually keep going, and Matt Hardy keeps actually going to the ring looking for Sammy Guevara, and they keep going at it. So I don't know like if it is that legit or like if it's actually a storyline. So what they did to me. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the thing I just want to say, and then of course, when all this was happening, of course, Rebby Hardy, because the only thing she's good at is making babies and flapping her gums, and those might be going hand in hand depending which gums. So, she had to be like, oh, this is so unprofessional. My husband, oh, well, which one's unprofessional, bitch? Is it AEW, is it WWE, or do you just want to control what your husband does?
Yeah.
And if he says, I'm good to wrestle, and the company isn't like, see, that's the thing. When Vince McMahon is stern and it's black and it's white, it's yes and it's no in his company. Either you can or you can't, and that's it. AEW, there is no black and there's no white. It's all gray. If one they're all like, oh, we don't want to, we don't know, so, Matt Hardy is a legend. He's a god to them because he's actually like a legit wrestler. So when he comes there and is like, oh, no, I'm good, they're not going to tell him no. Because they're not a legit corporation. If they were like legit and it's like, dude, no, you smacked your head off the cement floor, you're done. You're just done. You can continue the feud. You can even call out AEW management. We'll write it into the storyline. We'll make it legit. Just continue it when you're good to go.
Hopefully you feel better, yeah.
Yeah, but Matt Hardy was probably like, no, I'm good. And instead of doing the right thing and putting their foot down, they're like, oh, well, we got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, and commentary kind of sold it because like, oh, Matt Hardy has kids. Like when it's done, it's done. You got to think about yourself and everything. But they kept going,
especially after the chair shot and all this stuff. And again, maybe this will piss some people off. I'm sure I already did with the Rebby Hardy comments, but like nobody's gonna remember this feud in 2 months. So Matt Hardy got that chair shot to the head, and he had this happen to him. And in 2 months, no one's gonna remember this feud.
No, what I want to say, Jean Paul, is like. What you pretty much are just implying is like, and I think I can honestly agree with you, is like, him and Guevara do not have chemistry, dude. Every time that they're in the ring, something bad happens to Matt Hardy. Can we please stop this? Because, Matt Hardy is already in the twilight of his career. Can he get like somebody that he can work with him? I'm not saying Sammy Guevara is bad, but it's just saying, like they don't have that safe.
Yeah, there's just hey, when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You hear that with wrestlers all the time. Oh yeah, you had great matches with this tag team. Like if you talk to a tag team, you had great matches with this team, but not that team.
Yes.
Like, well, hey, we just didn't click.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all it was.
That's what I mean. And then they had this big spot jump on, like, because Matt Hardy pretty much they were fighting, and then they kept going to like a tower. And then Matt Hardy threw him from that. And then Sammy Guevara was done. And then they kind of turned because it actually happened to be also a last man standing match. So Matt Hardy actually wins the match. So he wins the match. But later on in the night, Brian Alvarez reported. He said that like he went to the hospital. He did go to the hospital. He got checked out because, like you said, he probably did get a concussion. He has a concussion. Even it could be a lot worse because he did hit the head on the concrete. So
I mean, no, I'm not a doctor, and I'll quote Jim Ross, not a doctor, and I don't play one on TV, but your brain's only held in there by a stem. So when your head hits the ground that hard, your brain's going to rock on that stem in there, and it's going to hit the side of your skull and all that stuff. It's not good for your brain. You saw when Bret Hart got super kicked, and that had a concussion and all that other stuff, and he was done. Imagine getting, hitting the concrete. So it's a scary thing for Matt Hardy. We make the jokes, we say the shit, but at the end of the day, we hope he's good. And, it's a scary thing, but, hey, this is what happens when a company with every single match needs to be a gimmick, needs to be a big, let's do ECW type shit. No, sometimes you can just have a singles one-on-one, no rules. I mean, not no rules, no stipulation, just a regular wrestling match.
Or like you said, like kind of like I don't know if it's completely AEW jump. I just feel that, like you said, maybe you just be a little careful, make the table a little bigger. I don't know. Or like I said to you, these two guys do not have like chemistry with each other. Every time that they do, they have like to do spot. Something bad is going to happen to either Matt Hardy or Guevara. So knock it off. We're not interested. It's not doing any good for neither one of them. So now let's go to the part of the show that like it was like the main matches, what we were really waiting for, and that's Hikaru Shida with Thunder Rosa.
Finally a good match.
Like this was actually like Jean Paul just mentioned, a beautiful match. It was probably the best match in AEW's women's division so far. Thunder Rosa dominated this whole thing. She had a great showing for me. And we're gonna hear from Jean Paul in like a little bit, but like she had a great showing. She showed why Thunder Rosa, if they sign her, this division actually is going to become way more interesting than what it already is. Because like Jean Paul says, Nyla Rose, Big Hero, done. We don't hear from her. Big Swole, okay, she got to win, but do we really care for that? No. Big Britt Baker, she was the heel that like you're trying to groom it into like be a main event heel. No, she just lost. So Chris Statlander, injured. Riho, we don't know where she's at. So like what Penelope Ford, Hikaru Shida already beat her. So where's the other women? Maybe like the Dark Order with Tainara Conti and Anna Jay, but they still like need to be groomed. They need to have like a storyline. Thunder Rosa just was able to put on like a beautiful match. She again dominated the counter. She showed like all her skill. So I'm really happy with this. Now let's hear from the booker.
Thunder Rosa, great match, and Hikaru Shida, she proved why she should be the AEW Women's Champion. I won't say she's better than Thunder Rosa. If you're asking me, and it's like you have to pick one of these two women to be your champion, I'm gonna have Thunder Rosa be my champion. Yeah. I think she's better, but Hikaru Shida is good, and it's like just because Thunder Rosa is better doesn't mean you're gonna give her the belt. Hey, this is our champion. We got to get behind her. She had a good showing. I forget if it was Jim Ross or Tony Schiavone, who it was on Dynamite, but they said every time Hikaru Shida wrestles, she keeps getting better and better and better. And I'm like, I agree with that. Every time she wrestles, she gets in those matches. Like you named all the people she beat. Every time I feel like we saw in those matches, it's like, okay, she looks better. She looks better. And I thought that here tonight, it was great. I do love how Thunder Rosa didn't hit the Thunder Driver because it's like, if she would have hit that and Shida kicks out, then she looks bullshit. Because I always love when that never happens because then the challenger can be like, well, I never hit my finisher. Like, remember Dijakovic? I never hit my feast your eyes. And it's like, you never will because now you're a jobber and you don't exist on Monday Night Raw anymore.
Absolutely.
No, this was a fantastic match. The right winner. I mean, you really could have done something cool if you put the strap on Thunder Rosa and then it could have been, something there. But who knows with, like we said, NWA, they're really starting to film soon. So maybe they thought this will be a thing to be like, hey, people, check out NWA. We're going to start soon. And then this was a good way to get eyes on their product.
Absolutely. See, I feel that's what they would like to do. And maybe at some point, Jean Paul, how about, like, how do you feel about this? Hey, let's have, like, a rematch, but this time Hikaru Shida goes to, like, NWA. And now they fight for, like, Thunder Rosa's, like, NWA championship. Don't you think, hey, you were in my world. I gave you a shot. Now, how about you give me a shot in your world? So that would be cool. Or
even, it could be Shida or it could be anybody. It could be Britt Baker. It could be Big Swole. And I'm not saying recently. It could be, any of these AEW women. Like, let's say one of them gets a win over Shida. They could be like, oh, well, I beat our champion in a non-title match. So, and you couldn't beat her. So that means I'm better than you.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was good. It was good. I'm glad that you loved it because I did. I mean, this match for me was like the best match of the night. It made sense, everything that they did. Like you said, Thunder Rosa dominated Hikaru Shida. Pretty much like counter every single thing. She had it all scouted. She knew what she could do. All like her judo experience, like black belt, like she even Excalibur has a lot of info, so I like that because Jim Ross, like you said, pretty much sometimes when he's horny, he starts then to talk about that, or like he talks about whatever else, or like we go to like the 60s, so he reminds me of like Grandpa from The Simpsons. Oh yeah, this story about like 1930, and and he passes out before he can actually finish. But like Excalibur has a lot of info. He was saying about how like the styles are different. Hikaru Shida actually went to Shima. Like to kind of like learn a little bit of lucha libre and all of that. When she did a Meteora, I really love that. But I'm like, oh really, Shima or Sasha Banks?
Oh yeah, and I love the one quick thing to say funny about Excalibur. He's like, and they said, oh yeah, if Thunder Rosa wins, she'll be a double champion. He's like, no, she'll actually be a triple champion. She's the what the hell was it?
It was like a promotion in Japan.
It was the what are the Joshi? He's like, she's the Joshi Pro Princess, whatever, and they're like, can you run that by me again?
Yeah. He said that is true. I remember that because it's like, really? Can you say that again? And then like, praising Excalibur is like, he knows. He's like, he knows things. It's like, see, and you need that. And then Giovanni can call the match. Jim Ross, legend, yeah. So he put this to sleep, but he's a legend. It's Papa Ross. Whatever. But Excalibur's the guy that has the info, the details, statistics. But again, great showing, Jean Paul. I love this, and like you said, Hikaru Shida gets better and better. So now let's go to like the legit stuff that like Jean Paul was actually. I know. Let's go before like not to the main event, but something that we actually missed. We actually didn't predict it, right? And this was this Dark Order against the Natural Nightmares, Matt Cardona and Scorpio Sky. I wasn't happy with this because, again, Dark Order looks like a complete idiot. One more time, it's like, we're legit, but, like, we don't know how to be legit. Or, like, we don't know how to
legit. If the Dark Order was going to lose, this was the way to do it because this was the right guy to have lose. Colt Cabana is the one who ate the pin here. He's, the Dark Order. Remember last week when they were, or 2 weeks ago, whatever that was? No, last week when they did, like, the celebration, and then it's like, okay. And then, Colt Cabana kind of just stands there like, so. But he's like just happy to be there. He's not really in the Dark Order. He just says, oh, I'm just hanging out with them. We're just friends. He's the one who eats the pin here. So they're like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why don't you just be legit? Why can't you just, we set it up for you? All you have to do is win. And you can't even do that. So, they beat him down. But the match I liked. Matt Cardona looked good in it. I thought Dustin looked good. Even QT, like, he looks so generic, but he's actually a good wrestler.
Yes.
He just, but he has a little bit more character than Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, but he still looks just very generic.
I was about to tell you, so you read my mind. So, like, I was about to tell you can actually put these three together and go and feud them against Legado del Fantasma because they all look so generic, but I mean, good wrestlers.
Yeah, the only thing I was like really is in of course Brandy and Allie had to come out, and I'm like, of course, they had to have, they had to get their television time. And when you said about Jim Ross being horny, I think it was, I forget which one of them was, but they start tackling Anna Jay, and they're fighting on the outside. And of course, there's action in the ring, and you just hear Jim Ross go, "Did Anna Jay have a wardrobe malfunction?" He's like, and then he's like.
That's what I told you.
Yeah, and he's like, I think I'm the only. And then, of course, he was focusing on that. I was like,
well, he's like, poor man. I mean, he's old. His wife died. So, like, I mean, he needs to get it somehow. He needs to, like, maybe get some juice out of that. But, like, and he probably sees them all the time. So, and probably when Tainara is right there, he's probably going to have, like, pretty much.
Jim Ross probably dresses up as Santa and has them all sit on his lap.
Yeah, no, and I mean, the best thing will be now get Jim Ross and the King Lawler, and they just be puppies, wardrobe malfunction, puppies, wardrobe malfunction.
They're all like, oh my god.
Two old guys, just horny, ready to like do the nut, finally their last nut. You know what I mean? It will be just amazing. But like you said, this was I really like Cardona look good. Like a lot of radio silence or rock rider, like however you want to call it. Scorpio Sky kind of looked good, but like to me, he was like the least showing. He wasn't that much active in.
He doesn't make sense in this. He's the one guy who is like, really, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. Now you could have easily done this without Colt Cabana, but he was put in there for storyline reasons because, like I said, he took the fall. They beat him up afterwards. But Scorpio Sky, I feel like you could have took him out, took Colt Cabana out, and the match would have been a little bit better as a 6-man tag.
Yes,
but I agree with you with Scorpio Sky, but
Brody Lee pretty much did the discus clothesline and he was ready. So he gets Colt Cabana, just spin him, and he says just spin him. But Colt Cabana goes like, no, it's not done. So he does a moonsault from the top rope. He misses, and then Dustin actually rolls him up. 1, 2, 3, they get the win. So that was pretty much how the match ended. And then see, like, all these guys gets their win. Everybody were like, well, Cody, wherever he is, he's going to be the happiest man in the world because his family got some kind of revenge. So he can actually be at peace. That, like, the things are getting better for the Nightmare family and all of that. And now Dustin got a really great promo afterwards. And then he said, well, I'm going to have actually a TNT Championship match for next Dynamite. So he said, oh, you better, like, bring your A game because Hell and me are going to go after you, Brody Lee. So that's how like you said, that's how you cut a promo. I really want
Dustin's the old school, anything that he says, it might not be legit. It is legit, but it might not be as legit as it seems. But it is because when you compare it to all the other promos that these guys are cutting, and it's like, so then he comes out and he's right away at an 8 out of 10. He's loud. He's saying what he wants. He sounds like he means it. He sounds like a man. And it's like, oh shit, you listen to him.
Absolutely.
And it's exciting. And is he gonna win? Probably not.
No.
But I wouldn't be surprised the way that they booked the Dark Order. But because even the one line I said, he's like, I didn't think I'd have another singles title opportunity, and I'm like, man, I really hope he does win it.
Oh, well,
I mean, at least at some point, maybe not against Brody Lee, but before he retires, let him hold that.
That would be cool. That would the picture, the whole visually will be really great.
Yeah, that is when you bring out the whole family to applaud and then
not like every single time they come out. I agree with you. So like now talking about shots at like people and like that visuals right there. They had a shot they took a shot at the WWE right here. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford saying that they're gonna actually get married on Dynamite, and you have to bring your best man. So like Kip Sabian saying the best man is the guy that brings the party, is the guy that knows the couple from from the longest time they've been together. So it's is the funny man, is the showman. So he's gonna reveal him on Dynamite, but see right there taking a shot at the WWE for banning them from Twitch and all the third party involvements that they have. So right there, this message has been approved by All Elite Wrestling. This to me is a subtle tease. So I'm not gonna say anything. Also, they're petty. No, in this time I think it's decent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean it's WWE is. Now, like we said earlier, they're a company, so they have the power to do what they want, so you can't really argue if it's right or wrong. It's, it's their right to do it. But I think it is petty. Just let them, play video games. And I know you said it's oh, well, how much money they make in their contract. It's well, hey, if people are willing to donate money to them, that's not the wrestler's fault. That's the people donating the money.
I agree.
And if they want to take the little subtle shot here, WWE has Robert Stone as Tony Khan, so it's hey, let's go.
It's going to be shot at each other. So now let's talk to Jean Paul when he pops, because I think he popped for this, tag team title match. Adam Heyman, Page, Kenny Omega going against FTR and Tully Blanchard. This was a good match, a little too long, and I'm not saying for my taste. I'm just saying as a whole. I enjoyed this, but a little too long, and maybe that's why the show ended up pretty much at midnight. But this was peaceful, and you see both styles clashing. FTR, people always said, old school tag team, playing the mentality of we gotta wear the rival down. We wanna work in some kind of the body part. We gotta do a lot of tag team moves. And, a lot of tag team, dirty tactics to, get the win. And then Adam Heyman, Page, and Kenny Omega, trusting issues throughout the whole match. We trust each other. At some points, they will play it out they actually are getting along. The combinations, tag team moves, absolutely flawless. But then there will be some kind of dissension. And in the end, that's what pretty much what's happened. That was, the beginning of the end was actually a miss spot. That Kenny Omega hit the B trigger on Adam Heyman Page, and then FTR was able to hit the pile driver combination, but they did it twice. I didn't like how the second one ended because Kenny Omega kind of looked like Luchasaurus, so I want to help out, but they gotta win. So yeah. But in the end, extremely great stuff, and FTR are the brand new AEW Tag Team Champions. Now let's hear it from Leek.
Yeah, I loved this match. It was long. And it wasn't as exciting as the match at Revolution with the Young Bucks. So people will probably, 9 times out of 10 say that match was better. This match I thought was just as good. Definitely not as exciting, but the main thing for me was the story. I was watching, it's okay, who's going to turn on who? You saw the Bucks, we said they kind of turned a little bit of heel, so we don't know what's going on with them. FTR using the tactics. I love how, really isolating Kenny for a lot of this match. Hangman was out for the first, I want to say almost the first half of this match.
Yeah.
They just isolated Kenny, and Hangman was wearing pants. I don't know how I feel about the pants. I'm oh, okay. When he wears the chaps, it's okay, you're a cowboy, but then, then he has pants on underneath, and it's so.
Yeah, a different look on Adam Heyman Page.
Yeah, but I mean, this was good, and then Tully didn't get involved all the time. That's what I was thinking. Oh, we're going to see Tully all the time. It's going to be cheating because they don't know how to produce a match. No, he didn't really get involved too much, so that was good. And the one thing I do want to point out, I hate when they're oh, FTR in their contract, they have rules that the tag teams have to use the tag ropes. Really? Can just every tag match use the tag ropes?
Or like, can they just be like a regular tag match?
Yeah, like can we actually like uphold rules? AEW management, like Tony Khan, can you stop being a mark and actually be like a wrestling promoter? But yeah, so that I'm kind of like anyway, but it was good. And you said they set him up. Okay, we're gonna go for the last shot. He comes in with the buckshot, and then they dodge it, and you think Hangman is gonna hit Kenny, but he doesn't. Like last time, and it's like he doesn't hit him. And then, but Kenny's the one who hits Hangman, and then he gets pissed. Afterwards he has the chair because, like, you walk through the finish, they hit the pile driver and stuff. He has the chair, and then it's like, is he gonna whack Hangman? What's going on? But see, commentary wasn't even selling it. Yeah. Kenny was standing there with a chair for a good 10 seconds until Tony Schiavone was like, "Hey, wait, what's going on?" Yeah. I'm like, really, you guys? Like, he's about to beat down Hangman and you're not even selling it. But then eventually,
Gun Paul is like too long. Like they got tired of it.
Yeah, but like I said, the crowd was like pretty much dead at this point, and not because this match was bad, but it's like, they were. You got to think the buy-in started at 7. They were probably in there at 5:30. Yeah. In their seats, okay, let's get popcorn, let's buy shirts, let's be legit. Even though it's not packed, you still want to get there kind of early.
Yeah.
And, it's like, you're sitting there for this long, you're exhausted.
Yeah, so, that's what I mean. Yeah, I agree with you.
But, the winners, obviously the right winners, and the main thing is the story. Because, we said he had the chair, no, okay, I'm not going to hit him, whatever. So Kenny leaves, and he's walking to the back, and he walks past the Bucks, he's like, it's fucking bullshit, we're out of here. And they're like, what? What's going on? And he's like, no, he's like, either you're with me, or you're not. Like, we're leaving. And they're like, so, and then they all leave.
Yeah, like they were like, and so like you said, the story is pretty much the main thing that they have in this. Really cool thing for FTR. I mean, they've been champions everywhere. I don't have a great picture, guys, so I apologize for that. My apologies, but like, look at this. See, they have like NXT champions, Raw champions, Smackdown champions, and now AEW champions. So pretty much, this is a team that like has conquered every single thing in the tag team division as of now. I'm pretty sure they will go to Impact. They will be Impact champions.
Do you know who the revival is of AEW?
Who?
The Lucha Bros.
Oh yeah, because
they taste legitness for like 2 weeks and then back to bullshit.
Yeah, it's true. That's what if we will do a video on like the people that have been misused on AEW as so far, Lucha Bros will be number 1. Because the fact that they have not been, champions after putting that great match, I think it was a double or nothing.
Well, I just watched last year All Out from last year where they had the ladder, the death ladder match or whatever it was.
Yeah.
With the AAA when they won, and then LAX came in at the end, and LAX debuted, and they were really hot. Look at them now; they were also in the Battle Royal, looking like bullshit.
Yeah, well, the best friends were like they're there, but see, like you said, if you don't have a singles match, then you were added to the Battle Royal, kind of like WWE like is.
But overall, this match was great. And especially at the end when Kenny says to the Bucks, "Let's go," and they're like, "Where are we going?" He said, "We need to go to the store. I need to buy some sunglasses."
Yeah, it's because the cleaner is coming back. Like, good stuff. I really applaud the revival. Finally, FTR, they're good. They're finally champions. So now let's touch upon the 2 main events pretty quickly, because I think that like this was not like great matches. It was just like, hey, to finish the show. So this was like Mimosa, Mayhem match because JERICHO and Orange Cassidy. See, this was like to the point. I feel that like it was not too long, Jean Paul. JERICHO cannot put like long matches anymore. It was pretty much let's get our spots in, and pretty much what we predicted, or at least what I predicted. All of us say like with Glenn Davidson, I want to shout him out one more time. Wrestling all day, all in, and all day, all night, and pretty much he said JERICHO is going to be in the Mimosa because he's going to pull out like a tantrum, and that's kind of what happened. So, tell me, Jean Paul, did you like this or like? Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it. Okay, this is how I'm going to say this. After watching this match, I didn't hate it any more than I already hated it going into it, and I didn't like the feud or like the match anymore after it was over. So my opinion didn't really change. I was like, okay, somebody has to win. They tried to make you invested in this feud by kind of making the video package seem legit, but then, you saw the Hangman Page and JERICHO video package from last year I sent you. That gets you hyped up. That's legit. You watch this one and you're like, this is like a joke. Like, you laugh at this if you watch the one from last year with Jericho.
Yeah.
So, it's like, okay, I didn't really care. Somebody had to win. My pick was Jericho, but at the end of the thing, Orange Cassidy, Superman punch, he knocked him right in there. You're like, okay. I was just like, okay, like, I don't care. It's like
it started out with like a few code breakers, the Judas effect, like they kind of teased it from the, from what 10 minutes, I think it was, probably a little less than that. So it was good, but like you said, it was to the point. We were not expecting anything great from a match. This was kind of like the gimmick match, like to get us in a good mood. But like, again, we're like tired from like, this is already 11 o'clock. So like a little bit too long again for me. And it's not like we're asleep, like it's not our bedtime, but it's just like, hey, we've been watching already so many matches. And let's remember that we watched SmackDown yesterday. So, it's like completely wrestle out. But like, see, this was like, at least, see the picture right there, Jericho in the Mimosa. Yeah, but the one thing, he didn't put a tantrum. So it was like, even he looked tired. He's like, can I go to sleep? Is it done? So that's all it was for me.
Yeah, so many of these matches just could have been on Dynamite. Or to be like, they weren't that even. You could have booked the Mimosa Mayhem as a main event on Dynamite. Yeah. And it would have had the same effect. It's not like people were losing their freaking minds to see this match. No. Like, I'm sure there was people. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's people who, lose their minds for a lot of things. But the overall majority, nobody really cared about this match. The first one they had. Yeah. The first match that they had, it was like, whoa, this is crazy. That's the one people wanted to see. After that, it was done.
After that, okay, no. The second one is like, okay, we want to see Cassidy because Jericho won the first one. Oh, they're doing another one. Cassidy, and this one we said it will be cool if Jericho can put him over, which he did. So Orange Cassidy, at least he gets 2 wins. He's even Giovanni said.
But what's he gonna do? He's gonna, let's say Dustin loses to Brody Lee, which will probably happen. Then if let's say Orange Cassidy's not gonna beat Brody Lee.
No. I mean, that will be him. We'll see. I mean, he has 2 wins over Jericho, so now he's like you said, this is the time where like management needs to be, okay, what are we going to do with this guy? He has all of this momentum. How can we cash in?
And you easily could have, because like we said, Lance Archer probably Full Gear. You could have easily booked another feud, a championship match in between there, and it could have been Orange Cassidy, and that would have been perfect against MJF. But, now we have Moxley. Does anybody want to see Moxley versus Orange Cassidy? I don't.
Well, especially because, again, 2 baby faces. So no point on that. So
and not a lot of wrestling skill either.
Well, yeah. I mean, Cassidy, yeah, but like I don't know if Cassidy can carry Moxley. But like we'll see. But like, I don't see it happening. Like you said, Archer and Moxley is going to be the feud. And now let's talk about the main event, Jean Paul. Pretty much, Moxley against MJF. The video package was cool. Like, JR saying, like, hey, kid, like, you're really annoying. He's like, you strike me out as, like, a really annoying bitch. It's like, you really got, the future in wrestling is right there for you because you're fucking annoying. That was pretty much like, you were the greatest heel ever, which he was. But see, I think there's a missed opportunity, Jean Paul, because this was, like, all the package, all the build-up, all of these things,
Does that surprise you, though? Look at the track record. Does that really surprise you?
It shouldn't, but like it's not that it doesn't surprise me. It's more like that it pisses me off because it's like I give a chance. It's like, okay, you've done me wrong all this time. And I'm not saying because I feel disappointed. I'm just saying like it doesn't make the logic because you build somebody. You do the good thing. You do everything right, but then this happens, and it's like,
this is just my opinion, and this is. So take that how you will. But Tony Khan books everything, right?
Most of it, I think.
So he books everything, or has pretty much the control. He's booking this thing like you're playing with your action figures. John Moxley's the number 1 guy, and you're gonna have your favorite babyface just run through all the bad guys because you're a small child and you want the good guy to always win. When in reality, you got to think if this bad guy loses, nobody's going to care about him anymore. And eventually, Tony Khan, you're going to run out of bad guys in your company. Because there's only so many times. Let's say hypothetically Lance Archer loses. To me, these guys are like baseball. If they lose 3 major matches for the belt, then they're done.
Then, why are you there for? You know what I mean? What's there for you to do? Unless you become a member of catering, you just got to go with Titus and all of that. I agree with you. I just agree with you.
Yeah, now if Lance Archer would win And then, then he drops it in a couple months, and then he challenges it for, later on in his career a couple times and keeps losing. Then it's like, okay, whatever. At least he won it once. But if you keep challenging and always lose, nobody's going to expect you to win. And it's not a baby. It's different when you do that with a baby face, like Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, because they're a baby face, and when they win, there'll be a pop.
Yes.
When the bad guy wins, if you book them correctly, there should be a boo. Yes. But in this company, when the bad guy wins, there'll actually be a pop because people are like surprised and they actually are behind the heels.
This is how like pretty much MJF is feeling right now, because at least it was a little bit of
no. The match, to talk about not just the outcome, but the actual match up until the ending and the outcome, I thought was great.
It was good.
I thought MJF was great. Moxley, of course, like. Jim Ross even makes jokes. He's like, Moxley lives on the outside. For some reason, he can't just wrestle in the ring. He has to take everything to the outside. And, of course, MJF was doing, like, the, headlock takedowns, and he was just, trying to actually wrestle. But then Moxley's like, nope, I got to take him to the outside. I have to fight, proving Jim Ross right that Moxley's just a fighter, not an actual wrestler. And, but the styles clashed, but they clashed in, I thought, a really good way. And, of course, MJF getting the color. It was legit old school style match, in that effect. And, of course, I love when MJF, it reminds you right of Ric Flair, when he has the color, red all coming down his face. And he's like, no, please don't hit me.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah. Exactly. And I like your input. I agree with your insight. I can go along with it. It was okay. But, again, then we go to the ending because the whole thing was good. The ending was to me also not climactic at all, and this maybe it's like you said, we've been watching wrestling for such a long time that I need that kind of okay, it's almost over, okay, oh my god, no, it's on, it's still on. It was just and like Moxley kind of got advantage from a distraction, and he hit the paradigm shift.
Well, yeah, because he threw in the ring. He was like, Wardlow, throw me the ring, and MJF fumbled it, and I don't think commentary sold this, but they should have said that it's because of all the blood in his face.
Yeah.
So he couldn't see the ring to catch it. So he's looking for the ring like Velma. Where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? So he finds the ring. He goes, and it's done. He misses, paradigm shift and done. But there was a spot before that, I think, where he had Moxley in the salt of the earth.
Yes.
And to me, that's where I was like, it should have been done, because you said it was very fast. It was like, boom, boom. He has him in that arm bar, and it's like, oh, my God. But then, of course, Moxley gets out, so it's like, okay, whatever, But that should have been it. It should have been done. But, I said Tony Khan can't have his superhero, his number one babyface, the number one ranked, PW Insider Wrestler of the Year. You can't have him lose. Let's just beat up the young, upstart. Let's just, It didn't make any sense, and he looked like an idiot. See, Moxley could have went for the paradigm shift because the ref was distracted, but then it should have been that MJF countered it. Roll up, 1, 2, 3. MJF wins. Moxley still looks kind of strong because it was a roll up, and
we mentioned, you and me, when we were talking for the build-up of this. Oh, he lost because he couldn't use his finisher. Because what's the one thing that you just mentioned? Let's just backtrack to Thunder Rosa. Oh, I didn't win and because I couldn't hit my finisher. Same thing. Mm-hmm. But no, they just did it in the at the ending. I wasn't happy.
Because where does MJF go from here?
Yeah, that's
you book it for me, because I can't think of anything unless the feud continues
to full gear. But then what do you do with Lance Archer? And we have a small picture right there, but he was looking the whole thing. He was looking because he's the number one contender right now.
Well, obviously you don't have to wait till then to have a title match. They could do a title match in 2 weeks in Dynamite, just on regular TV. You don't have to wait for the pay-per-view, but and then it could be let's say MJF wins, and then it's like, and then Lance Archer versus MJF at full gear. You could do something like that, but we'll see. I don't see them feuding MJF with John Moxley anymore. He was yelling at Wardlow. I wouldn't be surprised if they feud him with Wardlow.
And they make Wardlow like a baby face, and maybe because they're gonna.
But then what do you do with Wardlow? They feud, and if they feud, Wardlow should have to win. Because if Wardlow loses, what were his major matches? Lost to Cody, who's about half his size. Loses to MJF, who's about a third of his size. So what's the point?
And that's pretty much what it is. So, guys, thank you so very much. This ends the whole review All Out. It's road break. This is actually the conclusion for like the greatest like 3 weeks of our lives because we've been putting content every single day. We've been loving it. I want to thank personally John Paul Egg for being right there for us. Being like a good sport because he's been like putting up with this with me. Nights of like not even sleep an hour because of like we want to put the best content in the world for you guys. And I think overall pretty solid show. But again, like he's saying, this is another missed opportunity for AEW to actually make headlines. Why? Because MJF would have been champion, and then you can cash in with that. It's like the biggest heel in pro wrestling is actually our AEW champion. And we said this with like Len Davidson. Remember, Jean Paul? He does not need the title to be Jon Moxley. He can be Jon Moxley without the prop. And so I just feel that like they lost a good opportunity because a big pay-per-view like this, it should have had a title change. The only title switch that they did was just the tag belts.
Yeah. And see, that was that. And then the great women's match we got really saved the show for me because, you had that story. And that's why I didn't hate the Young Bucks, Jurassic Express match too much. But overall, this pay-per-view, it was good, but it could have been a lot better. Take both those matches off the pre-show, get rid of them, and then put 2 of these matches that were on the main show on the buy-in. And, MJF should have won, and then to me, the show would have been a lot better.
Yes, we will be actually happier because like the show was better, but it wasn't. So Jean Paul, remind everybody where they can find us in the social media world, please.
Well, you can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the original Rope Break on Instagram, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, and right here for the best podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break.
And like Jean Paul says, we're always marked, so like right there. That's right. So like he has the mark for the toys. I have the mark for like, yeah, right there. So family, thank you so very much. There's one more thing that is left to say, Jean Paul. One more word, and that is...